Does Marshall make the best Marshall in a box right now? Well, time to find out. It's 2025 and at the NAMM show Marshall released 5 new Marshall in a box type pedals alongside a number of amazing new amplifiers. But today what we're doing is looking at the 1959 Super Lead pedal. I gave into the hype, I purchased this pedal myself, so this video is not sponsored in any way, shape or form, but I've always been a huge fan of the Marshall sound, and when I was a kid I was particularly obsessed with AC/DC, Malcolm and Angus Young and how they got their great tones, and so I always wanted that classic Marshall crunch in my sound collection, and this pedal should be a great way for me to achieve that, because who knows the Marshall sound better than Marshall themselves. But I have to say, when the first videos of this pedal came out at the NAMM show and from Marshall themselves, everybody was running this pedal through a Marshall amp, and I kind of thought, that's cool, but if you've already got a Marshall amp, you probably don't need a Marshall pedal to really make that amp sound like a Marshall, because you've already got the amp, right? So in this video we're going to be using my standard Hughes & Kettner Black Spirit 200 amplifier. That's got a very Fender-ish clean channel in it, very neutral with a bit of reverb, so that's going to be what we're going to be running the pedal into. And because I found a lot of those other demos to be quite one-dimensional in terms of their tones, I'm going to be using 6 different guitars today with a number of different pickup types as well, so you'll really get to hear the true versatility of this pedal, because it can do a lot more than just classic rock, although of course it does excel at classic rock. So in this video I'll start by telling you about the specs and the features of this pedal, then we'll play it with the 6 different guitars in all the different styles I can manage, and afterwards I'll give you a few of my opinions. What's good about this pedal, what's not so good, and is it worth your money at the end of the day? Because this does cost $149 or about 130 euros, 120 Great British pounds. So while it's not the cheapest Marshall in a box style pedal, it's also by far not the most expensive. Is it worth your money? It's time to find out in this video. Timestamps to everything down there in the description and comments if you'd like to skip to the parts of the video that suit you best, but let's start with those specs and features. So this pedal came out at NAMM 2025 along with 4 others in the range. There's also a JCM 800, a JCM 900, a DSL and a JVM pedal. Those are all going to have way more amounts of gain and compression than this pedal, but it's whatever floats your boat really, and with this new quintet of pedals I think you can really find a Marshall tone that's going to suit you, whatever style of music you play. But for me, and I think for a lot of you watching, the 1959 Super Lead is really where it's at for those classic, thick, massive sounding rock and roll Marshall crunches, and that's what this pedal aims to give us. It's actually a very simple affair. We've just got 4 knobs and the on-off switch there. It's a totally analog pedal with no cab sims or anything like that, no special stuff going on. It's proper old school in that respect. Now we've got a little light around the switch when you turn it on, because why not? And we've got a high treble, a normal, a tone and a volume control. Now the volume and tone controls are the master controls, and the 2 controls on the left correspond to the 2 channels on the original amplifier. That was a non-master volume amp, and what you had to do to really get it sounding good was to crank 1 or 2 of those 2 channels together. You could jumper them together and blend them. So you can either run the normal channel on its own or the high treble, or you can mix and match them to your heart's content, and there really are a smorgasbord of classic Marshall tones in this pedal. And handily, you can use the practical master volume control here to keep it at a level that suits you. So no more destruction of your ears or your neighbors or anything like that. And this pedal is intended to turn any clean amplifier into a snarling Marshall machine. Now otherwise we've got this kind of cool look. They've made it look a little bit like a Marshall amplifier. You can power it via a 9-volt power supply or via a 9-volt battery. There's a compartment in the back for that, and it's a reassuringly heavy and solid feeling pedal. But that's about it. So the next thing to do is test this thing out and hear how it sounds. Now from an amplifier like the 1959 Super Lead, we can expect everything from really nice crispy edge of breakup sounds through to some pretty heavy crunches and some almost fuzzy distortion sounds as well that get a bit woolly and a bit flubby in the low end if we really crank that normal channel. But we'll try and get every sound under the sun in this video. Like I said, I've got 6 guitars to demonstrate for you today. We'll start with my Epiphone Les Paul, because I don't think there's a more classic combo than a Les Paul running into a Marshall, or maybe there is, maybe it's a Telecaster running into a Marshall. So second will be my Telecaster, then we'll use my Ibanez Iceman. We'll then do a couple couple more guitars, we'll use my Fender Stratocaster, that's my early 90s Fender Japanese Strat. We'll use my G&L Doheny for all of you offset fans out there, and we'll use my Epiphone AS73FM, which is a Gibson 335 style of guitar. So we've got all the main guitar types and all the main pickups covered, and like I said before, we'll be using a pretty neutral Fender-y clean sound on my Hughes & Kettner Black Spirit 200 amp head for most of the demo, and running the pedal straight into the front end of the amp. We'll also do a couple of tests, I think, on the crunch channel of the amp to hear how the pedal works going into a crunchy amplifier, but this pedal's really intended to go into the clean channel, so that's where the vast majority of the playing will be. Enough talk then, enjoy the riffs. Like I said, timestamps down there if you want to skip around to a certain guitar that suits you best, and I'll give you my opinions afterwards. Okay then, so that was the Marshall 1959 Super Lead pedal with 6 different guitars, and I hope you enjoyed the playing, the riffs and the tones. And like I said, there are a bunch of tones that can be had from this pedal. Leave me a thought down there in the comments telling me your thoughts about this and which guitar you thought sounded best. Can you really get past that Les Paul into a Marshall sort of a combo? I'm not sure you can, but I loved a lot of the others as well, and now it's time for me to give you my opinions too. But let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I look forward to getting a bit of a discussion going. But I have to say, all things considered, and again, this is not a sponsored video in any way, but I've been blown away by how fun this pedal actually is. Now, I've played hundreds of overdrive pedals in my time, and tens of Marshall in a box type pedals as well, and this is possibly the most fun I've had with one of those type pedals in a long time. As soon as I got it out, I set everything to 12 o'clock, turned on my guitar and my amp, and just went to town with it. It's super fun, it feels great, and it does that Marshall crunch thing. It's 100% authentic, and straight out of the box, it was a total winner. I noticed a couple of things straight away that really enhanced my experience with this pedal. The first was to kind of dime the volume quite a bit, because that really warms up and thickens out the sound, and you get a lot of beefiness, and it sounds more 3D than when you've got the volume down lower. I generally have the volume at about 3 p.m. like you can see here. And the same thing goes for the tone control. I actually found that 12 o'clock is a great place to have it and leave it for most things. Again, this is just tailored to my tastes. Your mileage may vary, but this really worked for me. I found that going below 12 o'clock on the tone really started to get dark very quickly, and I would rather use the 2-channel, the 2 gain controls to really tweak my tones instead. And moving up past 12 o'clock, well, that really works, and that tightens things up for certain hard rock things and for doing palm muting, pop punk chugging and stuff like that. But at 12 o'clock for me was certainly a sweet spot. So having the volume at 3 p.m. and the tone at about 12 o'clock, once I had that, the beauty is really in blending and mixing the 2 channel controls, the high treble and the normal together, to get all of those amazing vintage and some more contemporary Marshall crunch tones. And what a fantastic sounding pedal I think this is. From lower gain stuff, from edge of breakup stuff, through to some pretty meaty hard rock tones, it does it all. Now, if you're a contemporary metal player, look for one of the other pedals in the range. But if you like hard rock and a 70s sort of 80s sort of a sound, if you like Jimmy Page and tones like that, if you like Hendrix, if you like Simon Neil from Biffy Clyro, those tones and way more are going to be in this pedal. The first kind of testing I did was with the volumes both down at about 9 o'clock, so really quite low, and I was surprised at how much oomph was on tap. And I really think that with this pedal, especially with humbuckers and higher output pickups, you'll need to roll back your guitar's volume control a bit to get edge of breakup and kind of pushed clean tones. But you're not really buying this pedal for clean tones anyway, you're buying it to rock, and it can do that in spades. There are so many different rock tones in this pedal. There are so many great indie rock and alternative rock tones, punk rock tones and hard rock tones as well, and it'll satisfy about 99% of my personal playing needs. The 2 different channels have very different tones going on. Obviously the high treble has a lot more biting top end and it's a lot thinner sounding overall, whereas the normal channel is much thicker and beefier, and on its own can get quite woolly and a bit flubby in the low end when you turn it up, and it almost gets a bit fuzzy when you dime both of them together. But that's the great thing, you can experiment with both of these, and I think everybody watching this is going to get a great sound that they love out of this pedal. I certainly did. And going back to the guitars, I thought that the Les Paul and the Tele in particular sounded huge with this pedal. They're kind of a match made in heaven, a Les Paul or a Telecaster running into a cranked Plexi style of Marshall. It just works for everything. So I love both of those, even though I love the other guitars as well. This pedal's definitely going on my board, and you're definitely going to be hearing more of it in future on my channel. So I absolutely love the tones, but what else is good about this pedal? Well, first off, I think it looks kind of cool. It really does play on my Marshall nostalgia, and it'll probably play on your nostalgia as well, because it looks a little bit like a Marshall amp. They didn't need to do that, but they did, and I like it. It's also reassuringly heavy, and I think the quality is really decent. This is not going to break anytime soon, no matter how hard you stomp on this thing. It's really solid, and it is weighty too. So if you're after a really lightweight pedal solution, pick one of these up first, because it might just be a bit too beefy for you. Now, in terms of things that I don't like so much, there's really not that much at all. I mean, you can say it's a large pedal, maybe it didn't need to be this big, who knows, but it does have top mounted jacks, so you save a tiny bit of space in that regard. The other thing that I was slightly worried about when I first got this pedal was the fact that I thought it might have a little bit too much gain in it at the lower gain settings. Of course, that's not really what you buy this pedal for, but I was a bit worried I wouldn't be able to achieve edge of breakup tones. But you can do that no problem, and you can also use your guitar's volume control to wind it down, and it works perfectly in that way too, so no problems there. I guess the final thing you could mention is the fact that, yes, this is a big pedal. Could they have fitted a second foot switch on and given us a boost or something like that to give us a dual channel option? Who knows? Maybe that's coming in the future. That could be a recommendation for a Mark II of this pedal. It's not something that I miss, and I can achieve that with my other pedals or the other channels on my amp. But hey, maybe for the future, give us a boost on this and it would be even more flexible. So you've been watching this video and you're kind of liking the tones from this thing, but you're wondering what else is out there. Well, you're in luck, because I think pretty much every pedal builder ever has a Marshall flavored pedal or a Marshall in a box in their pedal lineup. There's loads out there. They're at different price points, from the cheapest of the cheap to the most expensive of the most expensive. You can get any kind of different Marshall amp in pedal format, and well, you're going to have to try out which one is going to work best for your personal requirements. I really love this one, so I'd really put it at the top of my shortlist to try if you're thinking about a Plexi style of pedal coming from Marshall as well. It has that true ring of authenticity too, but there's a bunch of others that I've tried which I would recommend as well. Now, if you wanted to go very cheap, try the Tone City Golden Plexi. There's a Mark II of that. That is a fantastic pedal for about 50 or 60 bucks. I think my own personal favorite Plexi style pedal that I've had over the years is the Guv'nor Lagrange. Now, I think that one's sadly discontinued, so you'll probably have to find it on the used market, but that is a wonderful and versatile pedal too. You could also try something like the Wampler Plexi Drive. That is a fantastic pedal. There's a mini version of that too, which is very small in terms of footprint, and JHS pedals have the fantastic Charlie Brown, or if you want an angrier version, they have the Angry Charlie, which is like the JCM 800, so a much more beefed up and much more aggressive version of the Marshall philosophy. And if you do want more gain from a Marshall style pedal, well, check out the rest of this range. They've got the JCM 800, the JCM 900, and the more modern flavored DSL and JVM amp styles in pedal form as well. Of course, if you're after more kind of vintage Marshall tones, a while back they brought out their Guv'nor and their Blues Breaker pedals. They reissued those, and those are fantastic options for lower gain Marshall tones too, so try those as well. But like I said, there are so many different options, so head down to your local store, try out all of the Marshall style pedals on offer, and you'll probably end up taking one home. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if it's this one, because at the end of the day, this is a fantastic pedal. It's so much fun, it sounds fantastic, it's built like a tank, it looks like a Marshall, and well, it is a Marshall. It's the real thing, and I'm sure that's a psychological factor. But this being a Marshall version of a Marshall in a box, it's just been so much fun for me. I've been playing it so much since I've had it. It's a very addictive pedal, and when a pedal makes me play more music, that pedal is a winner and a keeper for me. Now, with all 6 different guitars, we were getting many fantastic Marshall-esque tones. This is going to be great for you if you play classic rock, of course, but it's going to be great if you love indie rock or alternative rock, if you play classic hard rock sounds, if you play punk and stuff like that. It's going to work for all of those things. And if you worship blues rock players like Hendrix or Stevie Ray Vaughan, you can really get those tones in this pedal as well. So it's a fantastically versatile thing. The build quality is great. It's not the cheapest pedal in the world, but it's not the most expensive either. So like I've been saying, give it a try, and I reckon you'll be impressed. I hope that this video has answered all of the questions that you would have had about the 1959 Super Lead pedal. But if there's anything else you'd like to know, drop me a line down there in the comments, and I shall try and answer you to the fullest. And let me know more feedback that you have. Would you like to hear me do more videos with this pedal and try it out against other Marshall in a box type pedals that I have? Let me know. And similarly, if you want me to pick up a couple of the other new Marshall pedals and test them out in a similar way to this, let me know as well, because I'm open for all of that. I love Marshall tones, I love playing guitar and making videos, so it all works for me. But that's been it for today's video. Please give this video a like if you're still here, and even consider subbing to my channel if you would, because that really helps. But that's been it for today. I've been Rich, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.